Welcome back to the channel. That hey came out awfully loud, but you know what? It's because I am pumped up. We're going to have a great time today, everybody. I see so many people in the chat already. I just want to say hello to all of you. Some names standing out: Adamantium, the Spreadsheet Wizards, Mr. V1, Valdez, the other Adam of the Spreadsheet Wizards, P-Dubs, men, what is going on? So many of you, Eris, Intoxicated Gare. Abdo, you're here, man. This is phenomenal. I've been up since 6 o'clock this morning. It's my day off. You can probably see it under my eyes. I am okay with that because I'm that excited about this. This is an honor, a privilege. I am pumped up to bring this to you, the return of the VBC. So many of you have requested this, so many, and I appreciate that. Lets me know we're doing something right over here. We've got an interview. No, I'm not going to delay. I know you want to hear Crash. I want to hear Crash. I want to hear Crash. I get it. Real quick, though. If you would prefer to hear this stream in Portuguese or in Spanish, linked right there in the pinned comment, you can go check it out. Pepe is an official broadcast partner of the VBC, showing it all in Spanish, puts on a phenomenal show. And then Misty K in Portuguese, doing the exact darn thing. Go check it out. Go tell them I said hello. Come on back. Pull up whatever stream you want. I just want people to enjoy this. And then make sure you go and you subscribe to both the competitors that are on today. We've got returning VBC champion, winner of 3 of the last 4 tournaments, none other than also your Battlegrounds Brawl champion, Fintech, going up against #1 ranked Andrewtheruff. It's going to be phenomenal. If you're watching this back on playback, we will get to that in about 26 minutes, maybe about 30 minutes. And now, one last thing. None of this would be possible without our official sponsor of USAFA Gaming. All of you, to the best of my knowledge and testing, got a commercial when you joined the stream. I apologize. There is nothing I can do about that. I tested this yesterday. But due to the sponsorship of USAFA Gaming, because this is what he told me. This is what he told me. I was looking for sponsors. He's like, I know you. I know what you're all about. I know what you're going to be doing. I know the talent that you're going to be displaying. I know you're going to bring in the community. I hadn't even told him about Pepe and Misty K doing this yet. And he's like, how much for it to be commercial free? I threw out a number and he's like, done. So this is all going to be presented absolutely, completely commercial free, thanks to the sponsorship of USAFA Gaming. Go check out his channel. Go see his Alliance for Loki. Tell him I said hello. This is amazing. All right. Now, if you're familiar with my channel, if you're on my Discord server, huge thank you to all my moderators, right? Aiden, like Jaeger, Eris, so many of you. You guys make that place work. You know how much I love this guy and how much I've shouted him out on my videos. I've gotten to know him over a period of time. This guy gets it. He wants games to be fun. He's making sure we have a good time. It's amazing. It's awesome. I am a huge, huge fan. Please help me welcome. Please clap your hands at home so he can hear it. None other than Kabam Crash. Crash, thank you so much for being here today, buddy.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure. I have told you that I think your Battlegrounds tournaments are some of the best content our community is producing right now. I watch parts of pretty much all of them. So I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks for inviting me to do this little pre-show with you.
At some point, I'm going to run out of superlatives, which is hard for me because I enjoy complimenting great people, and you are definitely a great person, my friend. I love what you do for the game. We've got a ton of questions on my Discord server. You know, we know that we were going to be doing this for a while, so I pulled a lot of questions from there. I know that you said you're open to getting some from the live audience. If you're cool with it, though, and we're going to start off, like the seat might get a little warm over there. I hope you got the air conditioner on. Maybe you got some iced tea, something over there, because we got a passionate community. I did field a few questions from none other than our broadcast partners, Misty K and Pepe. If you're okay with that, I'd love to start off with their kind of general question.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, and hey to everyone watching on those other streams. And also, thank you for the sponsorship, USAFA. It's wonderful.
Yeah, that goes a long way, right? All right, so this one was basically directly from Misty K herself. I know you all have talked about this in the thing, but I think this is a sign of just how much as a community we loved this. Okay, and I think you probably already know where I'm going. Is the super event? I don't know if you've heard of it, but we loved the super. I want some super event too. So I was like, thank you, Misty, for giving me a chance to ask that question. So just whatever you can tell us about it, you know.
Sure, yeah. So I think the last time I talked about this was on the live stream, and I said basically we were waiting for data. The early data looked really good, and our analysis is done now. And so, oh, by the way, this is a much different venue than our live streams. I plan on talking about these things in a little bit more detail than I would on the live stream, if that's all right. So I'm just going to be like as transparent as possible here. So basically what the data showed was that the daily super event did a really good job at engaging our sort of like committed players, right? The players who are playing our game every day or most days, they became more regular. You know, they never missed a day. They logged in more. They spent more time playing the game every day. So that's great. But what it also showed is that we didn't really see the same response from our more casual players, which is what one of the things we were hoping for with the daily super event, is by sort of like clarifying all of these different, sessioning mechanics, we call them, mechanics to get players to log in more regularly. We would see a bump in their engagement, and we really didn't. And so what we want to do with the Daily Super, so I'll just say up front right now, the Daily Super event, or a version of the Daily Super event, is going to be coming back. The response that we saw was strong enough that we want to do that. I think it's going to be a couple of months. We already have things planned in September and October that kind of fill the same space. And so probably we're looking at November for a return. And really what we're going to be exploring is ways to sort of surface the value of it to those more casual players. Because our hypothesis isn't that the event wasn't good for them. It's just that they probably didn't know about it, right? Because it's kind of like buried on the event screen. And it's not clear, they probably finished some of the milestones and just claimed the stuff from their stash and were like, hey, rewards, cool. But didn't really know why they were getting them or whatnot. So that's kind of what we're going to be focusing on. But yeah, a version of the Daily Super will be back before the end of this year. And then we have some plans to add a few sort of like tech improvements to it to really surface it as like the event above all events, probably early next year. So yeah, so that's the plan. So Daily Super is coming back. And in the meantime, both September and October have really cool things planned that kind of fill the same space, if that makes sense.
I think I heard a collective MCoC like roar. Like I don't know if I've ever heard our community cheer louder and more in unison than the last like 45 seconds.
One of my colleagues that I work with said he in his time working in gaming, he's like a 10-year veteran. He's like, I don't think I've seen a community more unanimous in their love for something than the Daily Super event. So.
And it's just not an easy community to get to agree on anything. You guys are like, do you want champion A or champion B? And we're like, how close can we get that vote?
Can we get both of them?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. We're all too familiar with ¿Por qué no los dos? Right? Why not both? We're too familiar with that GIF. We enjoy it. Which feels like a really cool segue. And you and I talked. We want this to be a conversation. And I see everyone in the chat. Like, thank you, y'all. And you can continue to submit questions. We'll do our best to get to them. Would you mind telling us a little bit about, like, I always talk about, like, I have tremendous respect for Crash. I think he treats us like adults. I think he gets it that we want to play this game. We want to have a lot of fun, and balancing all that with the rest of actually making a game. And yet, honestly, if people ask me, what is it that he does there? I'll be like, I think he brings awesome. Like, are you the officer of awesome? Or like, what is it that you do over at Kabam?
Sure. So I'll try to make this sort of as brief as possible. I basically fill 3 roles on the contest team. My title, my official title is Live Game Lead. So the Live Game team is responsible for all of our multiplayer modes, all of our quests, most of our events, obviously like sagas and that sort of thing, as well as a good portion of the features that we're working on right now. It's one of the larger teams. And as Live Game Lead, my role, the way that I think about it, is I'm responsible for the what. What are we doing as a live game team? And then my partner in crime, Tyler, our live game producer, is responsible for the how. How are we actually going to build this stuff? So that's kind of like my core role. I also am the person responsible for our games economy at the strategic level. So I'm the one responsible for figuring out how fast player progression is going to be, what kind of resources are available in the game, what modes we want to emphasize or de-emphasize, and that kind of thing. And also providing live ops with the budgets for what they're allowed to sell effectively. I'm also... I was the one who designed the 7-star release plan. And as a result of that, I'm also the person responsible for coordinating which champions are coming as 7 stars, which is kind of interesting. You'd think that would be on a champion designer or one of our balance designers, but it kind of ended up with me. And honestly, like, I've deliberately not given that away because I think it's really fun
Yeah.
to think about which champions are coming to the game.
Yeah.
So I'm responsible. Obviously, I work very closely with the champion and balance teams on that project. And then the third thing is I'm a member of what we call the core revenue team, and we're the team responsible for all of our major sales days. So again, I mostly work on those at the strategic level, so like what are we going to be selling during our Cyber Week sale, approximately how much everything's going to cost. And then I do spend a decent chunk of time working with live ops just to like hand tune some of those offers on the biggest sales days. So those are basically the three things I do on the team.
I prefer to be forthright. Yeah, I think I need a little bit of iced tea right now because I'm like pretty sure I've criticized a lot of your work in my various videos over 3 or 4 years.
That's fine. And honestly, like I hope that we're self-reflective of this. I know that like after the banquet event last year, I made a big post on the forum talking about like, how I think we missed the tuning for certain groups of players. And so yeah, I mean it's such an enormous endeavor to put together those big sales days. And there's so many groups of players that we have to think about that it's hard to get everything right. But I'm really comfortable right now. Overall, again, I think the banquet event this year, we already have some plans for exactly how we're gonna do better for that group of players. I think it's gonna be really exciting. But overall, I'm pretty happy with like the balance of, one of the things we think about a lot is the balance of earned versus paid stuff in the game. And I think that we're in a pretty good spot for that right now. To be frank with you, like I want us to hit our financial targets while selling as little as possible, if that makes sense. And so that's basically, as the steward of the economy, that's part of my job is like, how do we manage that runway? How do we hit those targets while, providing value, but also making sure that a good portion of what's available in game can be earned without spending. So.
Yeah, it's interesting to talk to you and look back, right? Looking back is always so easy. People who've been following my channel for a long time, really active in like, I like to get into the nuance and talk a lot and that sort of thing. They'll know, and you can go back and look. I think it's probably around maybe 4 years now, more likely probably 3, where I started saying like, I believe the economic model has changed a little bit. I feel like Kabam has really embraced like, no, we got a cool ass game. And it's a deep, rich game. And we can really, pardon the term, but like lean into that. And then people will be happy to spend their money because they're having a great time. And it just feels to me, and I didn't know this at the time, but then I discovered that you came along somewhere around that time, right? And so I just think that's really cool personally. We have got so many topics to get into, though. If there's anything else you wanted to say on that, I'm happy to hear it. I want to give you that space. But we got a lot. There's a lot of questions.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm obviously not going to take full credit for any of that, but I will say that, like, I think the team has reached a really good balance point where, I'll give you an example. There's often posts on the forum saying, like, if you included this in this offer, I'd be more likely to buy it. And our goal isn't to optimize short-term revenue. Our goal is to become a forever game. You've probably heard the difference between like the finite and infinite games. The finite games you want to win, the infinite games you just want to keep playing. And we're very much playing an infinite game with contests. So our goal is to really optimize our runway, the amount of stuff that we have to reward players with and to sell players, and to really become a true forever game and be celebrating our 20th anniversary as strong or stronger than we're celebrating our 10th this year.
I will be a full senior. No, I won't be a senior citizen, but I'll be on my way to that. I'd be happy to celebrate that with you.
Right there with you.
Oh, come on. I can see it. I can see the suppleness still in your skin now. But people are like, okay, all right, Vega, we know you like to compliment. Let's move on. Here's a question that just like, I know a little bit of this answer. I'm aware you play the game. You and I have talked about the game and the tournaments a little bit. And I was like, okay, this guy obviously plays the game. Like, that's very clear. Would you be comfortable talking a little bit about maybe your journey as a player, right? Like, just whatever you're comfortable with. I realize I believe a lot of the Kabam employees like to stay a bit more anonymous, so I don't want to make you feel pressured.
Sure, yeah, no, I'm happy to talk about it. I'm wearing the dev tag on my production account. So I started playing contests almost exactly 3 years ago in August 2021, basically when I started interviewing for the job on the team. And I've always been a believer that I do my job best when I'm sort of like an expert in whatever it is I'm working on. So I've played the game pretty seriously since basically since that time. It took me about a year, I would say, to reach what I would consider to be the end game. I played in a tier 3 alliance for over a year, and then for I think the last 4 months, I've been playing in tier 1 with For Loki. So yeah, it's been a full journey. It's been good. It's been interesting for sure. And as I've told you before, Battlegrounds is my favorite game mode. That's where I spend most of my time.
Yeah, if I could have like screeched you there, I would have been like, wait a minute, back up. You said tier 1 Alliance War.
Yeah.
For Loki.
Yeah.
For how long has that been?
That's been for the last, I think it's been about 4 months, for the last 2 full Alliance War seasons.
Dude, everyone's like, don't talk to me about war, but I'm sorry, guys, I love war. How's that been? What's that experience been like?
It's been amazing. Like it's an incredible group of guys. It's definitely the most fun I've ever had playing our game. It's also the most stressful our game has ever been. Tier 1 war, as I'm sure you know, is very nerve-wracking. I find it very nerve-wracking, but I'm learning things very rapidly. But yeah, it's a blast. It's a great group of guys. Shout out to everyone in my alliance.
For Loki is phenomenal. I don't, you probably don't know, but I spent a good amount of time there. I consider many of them to be like real life friends. Like we've been to meetups together, have a great time. Mike's obviously phenomenal. So that's really cool to hear. In fact, B McG is, I see B, he's a moderator on the chat, so it stands out a bit.
Yeah, B was one of the ones. Well, B was probably the point man in recruiting me, so I appreciate that, B.
B will do that. We have a question, and I wanted, again, like names that stand out. And trust me, all stand out, but this is the Barrow Man. So like the real one. He's asking if you're comfortable saying, like, where do you typically finish in Battlegrounds? If you're all right with that.
Yeah, not Celestial. I can tell you that much. Yeah, no, my goal is like top 2 or top 1,000 type area. So, reasonably high up on the Gladiator circuit, but certainly not in like the rarefied area that you and Barrow and those guys hang out in.
I finished in Celestial once, and this interview isn't about me, so I'll do this very quickly. I finished in Celestial once, and I was very happy and proud. I also was like, I am playing more than I reasonably can. And there's other parts of the game I want to play. This was an absolute blast, but I need to be okay. And it's just the way the mode works, right? You could still play well. Obviously, at some point you stop playing well, but you lose like 6 in a row, and I'm like, I can't sit here for another hour and try to make that up. And even if I did, I'd probably lose 6 more in a row, right? So, and the other thing I always say is like, I think it's important to remember that, like, I think it's Quantum 1 is still like the top 1,000 players. Like, there is nothing else in the world that I am ranked in the top 1,000 in. Like, I'm positive I'm not even close in anything else in the world. So to me,
the same way.
Yeah,
it's exciting. And yeah, basically my experience is exactly what you were just saying. Basically, the seasons where I can put in the reps, I do way better. It's just about putting in the reps, right?
Yeah.
And I have 2 young kids, so most seasons I don't have time to do that.
All right, man. That's amazing. This is a question directly, again, from stream partner Pepe, who's doing all of this in Spanish. So if you're interested in that, make sure you check it out in the pinned comment. Go subscribe. Say hello to Pepe for me, please. Or to Pepe for me, please. We loved the Battle and Brawl. And we get it. You can't do it every year or whatever. Like, I'm not looking to ask about that. But what I am asking is Kabam at least thinking, is it on the table? Would you consider doing like community tournaments or bringing that sort of thing back in any way, shape, or form?
Absolutely. We really want to do that. I won't get into why it didn't happen this year.
Of course.
Logistically, it just didn't work out. I obviously can't guarantee anything. Nothing is set in stone, but I think it's quite likely we see another in-person Battlegrounds tournament next year, would be my guess. Again, I can't guarantee it, but right now I'm assuming that it's going to happen next year.
That's great. And even just something online, I think that's just the essence of the general question. I know a lot of people are excited about this and like what you're doing right now and just kind of continuing to see that sort of thing.
Yeah. So I can tell you, like, one of the things we wanted to do was, first of all, we wanted to have more competitors qualify. So we wanted to do like a bigger bracket. in person. So obviously there's some logistical challenges involved in that.
Mhm.
And we also really wanted to do a multi-season qualification in Battlegrounds, where instead of just like where you finish in one season, you earn points over the course of probably 3 seasons, because we think that's just like a fairer way to do it. But obviously, again, planning a multi-season qualifier is a lot more logistically challenging than a single one.
Yeah.
So like those are some of the challenges we faced when we kind of like wanted to scale it up to our true vision of what it's going to be. So I think that like hopefully next year, again, hopefully we can do it in person, and hopefully we're able to, you know, deliver sort of like a more rigorous qualifier like that, and those types of things is what we're looking at. Yeah.
I think it's obvious. I would love to see y'all do stuff like that. Again, hot seat here. Now knowing how good you are at the game, I've been looking to do some like other matches, some charity matches, stream some other Battlegrounds. Like we're going to do this monthly, what we're doing today. But would you potentially be willing to participate, like actually play live on stream? Would you? Is that something you'd consider?
Yeah, sure. I consider. I mean, I'm not gonna play Fintech, but if you find someone at my skill level, I'm more than happy to do that for sure.
I found someone. I found someone. He's in the room with me. All right, that's amazing. That's cool. Thanks. I appreciate. Thank you, everyone who's here, helping me put a little pressure on Crash, so we can make sure that happens. Another, and this one is a little bit selfish, and then we're going to open this back up to other stuff. Is I do a monthly tier list. A tremendous amount of people pitch into that. I'm kind of just like the voice to it. The whole MCoC Illuminati, featuring people like like Daddy Longlegs, Campo, MP Blaze, just so many people, Aiden, Jaeger. And then these spreadsheet wizards is the term I've come up with them. They're both named Adam. They did this amazing sheet. Have you ever had a chance to see the sheet? They asked. They're like, could you ask him if he's ever even seen it?
Yeah. I use the sheet. Your tier list is the one that I use internally, and then I give to other designers when they ask me for a tier list. So yeah, I am very familiar with the sheet for sure. And it's very, I can say it is very well constructed. We appreciate it for sure.
Those guys did an amazing job, and it has my name on it, but it is a collective group, so I get it. All right, let's move off of the selfish stuff. I see how much time we've got left, man. You and I could talk for hours. The future of the game, right? I think that's something that as players we're always interested in, right? And that just feels like the way the game is we're like, cool. Now's great. But what's coming? Who are the next champions, or what modes, or I don't even know. Is there anything you can tell us about the future of the game? But
yeah, sure. So I think there's a couple ways to take a look at this at the micro level, looking at sort of like the different components of the game. I think this year we've made an enormous amount of progress on really refining our late game content to be both engaging and exciting and interesting. I think story content is amazing, close to perfect. Our Everest content that we're producing is really good. I think the iterations we've done with the Alliance War Encounter Showcase and Saga Incursions have gone really well. And obviously the Crucible went over really well. And we have all sorts of opportunities there. So I think we're like really well served in that area. I think our systemic multiplayer modes, Battlegrounds, Alliance War, are also doing really well. Battlegrounds participation is some of the highest it's ever been, and I'm expecting our anniversary season in October, which world exclusive here, we're doing our first real realm event for. So it's going to be basically everyone working together to unlock milestones in Battlegrounds that season. I expect it will probably be our highest participation Battleground season ever.
Yeah.
And then, Alliance Quest raids, I think, has really breathed some life back into the Alliance Quest ecosystem. So I think we're really, we're set up really well for success there as well. I think the area of the game now where you're probably going to see us focus on for the next year or so is on that regular monthly content, the event quest, the side quest. I think that, and I'm not saying that people working on that aren't doing fantastic work. They absolutely are within the constraints they've been given, but I think it's time that we need to do some innovation in that space. Try to bring those regular monthly modes back up to sort of like an exciting piece of content, or to do more what we want them to do, which is kind of like that steady engagement. So yeah, I think that's where we're going to focus. And then kind of at the macro level, like I'll be frank with you, I'm really excited for how the game is headed right now. Pretty much every mobile live service mobile games saw a big spike during COVID and then kind of a decline off that peak.
Yeah.
But right now, for the first time since I joined the team at least 3 years ago, it actually kind of looks like we're growing again, which is so exciting. It's really hard to grow a 10-year-old product, right? But we actually have more people playing our game right now than we did last year at this time. So I think that's pretty incredible, and honestly probably the thing I'm most proud of, and most proud of the team for us to actually be able to stabilize the product. A lot of our competitors are still in the decline. So yeah, I think our future's bright. I said in a forum post, like, I don't think there's any question that we're going to be around for many years to come, and I would bet a lot of money that we'll be here for our 10-year anniversary. So yeah.
I know that I personally made the same bet. It was about 2 summers ago. I was on a family vacation. I think it was 2. And I was considering picking up another game. And I don't know. There's just enough coming along. And I felt like I saw enough people really putting in the effort on it. Like stuff I can't talk about, because of the NDA and that sort of stuff. Well, I guess it all came out. It's all come out in the last few years. That made me think like, no. They're doing a thing here. This is better to bet on the horse, that also looks like they want to continue on and improve.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, it's true and real. Again, time, man. Time is a constraint. You did mention the BG anniversary. That sounds pretty amazing to get more people involved, because the mode can tilt you, but it's also a great mode, right? It is a great mode. You mentioned the 10-year anniversary. Is there anything that you can tell us now? Again, I'm not trying to scoop the live stream. Just I'm here.
Sure. Yeah. So the live stream next Friday, and we'll be providing more detail about stuff. I can do a couple of teasers. I can say that the Saga Chase, I think, is going to be pretty much without question the most exciting one so far. So we're doing a 4-month saga starting in September. So this September saga will take us all the way through to our anniversary in December. So the Saga Chase, I think without question, will be the most exciting one. In there's going to be a multi-month meta event that sort of celebrates the history of the game, which should be pretty cool. There are multiple unannounced reworks coming in the next 4 months as well. So very excited about that. And then a whole bunch of other stuff. It's going to be 4 months of jam-packed, nonstop content, awesomeness, free stuff, awesome rewards, and then culminating in the grand banquet, our 10-year anniversary grand banquet, which we have some very special plans for. So
I love it. That covers November and December, right? If I understood the timeline properly. Yeah, that is a lot of family time. I love my family. They are my heart and my soul. Sometimes
sure.
I need a little something to do. I need to take a little break from the table or something like that. So I love. I
don't know. Was this in the Alliance War update? But yeah, we have deliberately scheduled Alliance War so that there will be sort of like an extended holiday break this year. Yeah,
dude, I feel like you got to say something negative here. Like, just tell me something. Be like, I don't know. I don't know. This is all positive stuff that's making me pump my fist. Speaking of which, I've loved the reworks, and not just because those are some of my best performing videos. Like, I've literally loved them. Like, a Superior Iron Man is my most wanted pull from the Titan Crystal.
Yeah.
Can we expect? Got my. Looks like I'm pointing at you. Can we expect more of? I don't fully understand what's going on. Can you tell me what's going on? I guess is what I'm asking.
With the reworks, yeah. So basically, historically, the way reworks worked was kind of like, is there a champion or balanced designer with some time, and who do they want to work on? Is basically how it worked out. Now we're starting to become more systematic about this, looking at class balance, looking at champions that could really use it, looking at meta needs. I think that I'll give you an example. I think Red Skull was an incredibly successful rework because of what he did to the meta, right? Because of Red Skull, I think Gladiator stocks really rose after his tune-up, obviously. And so, like, that's what I want to see more of. I want to see champions that sort of like create these drives within the meta as part of our reworks. I think Red Skull also, by the way, is like, that's the kind of defender that I want to see more of. He doesn't feel unfair, but he's also really darn hard to kill, right? And to me, that's we need some more of those, I think.
It's like you're talking directly to me right now. Like you are talking my language, man. No, I love that. Like, I think we're interpreting the same way. People have heard me often say, like, I die to Kindred a lot, or I lose a lot of health to Kindred, but it feels like a cool puzzle that I can try. It's a challenge, and I'm not just automatically screwed by entering the fight, right? Like, that's me. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. Again, we got a few things. Hot seat time again, and we don't have a ton of time to get into it, and I'm sorry to everyone. Is the Titan Crystal? You said Titan, and that made me be like, okay, I feel like you brought it up, man. You brought it up. Okay, is there's there. I'll just tell you. Okay, I do videos on these things. I did analysis of it, and something that people frequently say on my Discord server, whatever, is like, I don't want to pull Symbiote Supreme. And I'm sorry, Symbiote Supreme, he's now crying somewhere in the corner. But like, I don't want to pull Symbiote Supreme from a Titan crystal. It's a premium crystal. I want new, I want hot, I want shiny. And like the player side of me thinks, yeah, me too. But then in a really weird way, I just told you my most wanted pull is Superior Iron Man. And one of my second most wanted pulls is to awaken Luke Cage, which is literally like one of the old, I think of Seaton saying Blue Jean Baby. Like when I do Luke Cage, or when I think of Luke Cage, like if those are the worst pulls in a crystal, that's a damn good crystal. So like, how do you, or just whatever you're willing to share on it. But my question is, if you can answer, is like, how do you balance all of that? They're great champions. They are highly rated on my tier list. But like, how do you manage expectations and players and wants and shiny and all of that?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it's challenging. So I can tell you basically the way the Titan Crystal works is that we have a pool of champions that we've decided we want to release over like a 6-month period or whatever length. And we basically just sort of carve off the top for the choices for the Titan Crystal. Hello, I see someone waving.
Yeah, sorry. That's right. I do work from home, so
that's fair. Yeah, so basically, out of sort of like the pool of champions that we're ready to release, we basically carve off the top for the Titan pool inclusion. That's basically how it works. When we launched 7 stars, we kind of, as players know, we kind of like lopped off the bottom 20 or 25% of champions. Said we're never going to release them at 7 stars without some sort of rework. And then we also lopped off a bunch of the top because we wanted to give champions like America Chavez, like Venom, their time to shine in the meta, right? And so, yeah, then we're basically just sort of carving off the top with the Titan pool. And so it will basically improve in value over time as more and more champions open up for release. More and more powerful champions will sort of be included in the Titan Crystal. The Titan Crystal, the goal of that crystal is basically for it to hold its value over time. So basically there's 2 ways that we do that. Number 1, we continue to be relatively conservative about how we source it. And number 2 is we sort of like power creep it to basically over time. And I know that, like, you know, there's lots of debate right now saying like the current Titan Crystal isn't as good as the one was 4 months ago. When I talk about that, I'm talking about like year over year. I'm not necessarily talking like rotation to rotation, if that makes sense.
It does. And it kind of feels like it ties back into what you were saying earlier. And I've used the term, it feels like the game, if the game was a person, it feels like the game has accepted, oh, I'm kind of awesome. And I'm going to be mature about that. And so I'm going to look for the long play instead of the week to week because I'm worried about week to week. That's a big analogy, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And so like a big part of my role managing the game's economy is managing what we call our runway, which is basically like out of all of the champions that will be available as 7 stars, how many do players own right now? Out of all of the power available for 7 stars, the ranks and sig levels, like what rank they are, what sig level they are. And obviously we want to manage that responsibly because we don't want to run out of runway, right?
No,
and so
yeah,
that's honestly, that's basically my primary focus on the economy side is how do we trade that runway responsibly for engagement and revenue? Because that's basically how the runway works. We can trade it at any time we want for more engagement or more money, but how do we do that responsibly so that we can create, you know, another 10, 20 years of excitement for our players?
That makes a ton of sense. And if that's a worthy goal, I could do this with you for hours. I see what time it is. was there anything else that you wanted to get in? I know there's a couple of topics I told you I was going to ask about that we haven't gotten to.
We can do a part 2, but I did want to do one thing.
Yeah.
And that is that I have just a small little promo code for people to thank them for hanging out. So if you head on over to the web store and you type in VBCV, just those 4 letters, I think it should work in lowercase or uppercase. It's just a small amount of units and some gold to thank people for hanging out. But yeah, VBCV, as in Vega Battlegrounds Championship 5. Plug it into the web store. And yeah, thanks everyone for hanging out. I appreciate it. I'm going to hang out with you guys for the match for a bit, right?
I would love that. I would absolutely love that if you'd be willing to do that. Maybe we can ask a few questions, but I really appreciate this, dude. I always appreciate the transparency, the professionalism, and the maturity which you come to that. And I feel like in all my interactions with you over years now, it feels like your number one priority is ensuring that the players are trying, like you're doing your best to make sure the players are having a really good time playing this game. And that really comes through in all your communications. So yeah. Thank you.
At the end of the day, making a game that's fun is the most important thing to our success, right? So that's what we try to focus on.
Amazing. All right, I'll catch everyone in a few seconds on the other side. I think Finn is starting to warm up, and I know Andrew will be very, very soon. I did not know about the promo code, so there's a lot of really cool stuff happening, guys. Thank you very much, Crash. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks everyone for hanging out. Really appreciate it. Make sure you catch us on the live stream next Friday, where we'll be talking about some more of that stuff that I talked about today in more detail.
Do you know specific time and all that, or is it like definitely next Friday?
It's next Friday at the same time that we're normally on, which I believe is 9 a.m. Pacific time, I believe. Yeah.
Awesome. I will definitely be there. All right. We'll catch y'all.
Right on. Catch you on the other side. Thanks, everyone.
Yep. All right, everybody. I'm going to be moving over to a slightly different room to join in with our commentators on the match. Thank you all for being here. So many questions. I apologize we couldn't get to all of them. Like I said, there was a lot of stuff I would have loved to talk with him about, and maybe we can do a part 2. So I will be right with you in just a few minutes.
Hello,
Mr. Crash, how are you, my friend?
Hey.
All right. And so we are live. We're still going here. I want to do a very quick introduction to none other than champion designer extraordinaire. There was a period of time where most of you knew him as one of my really good friends who was on my streams a lot and then started his own very successful channel, sharing so much knowledge. And now he literally designs champions for the game. It's really, really cool, and it's my honor and pleasure to introduce none other than Daddy Longlegs DLL himself. Thank you so much for being here, buddy.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is going to be fun.
I think this one's going to be a blast. The competitors are pumped up on it, and that's always a good sign. That is always a good sign as someone who's hosted a tournament or two in my day. You know, I got a huge thank you to Adam for the donation and the tip here. If someone donated during the interview, please know I just did not see it. Do not hesitate to remind me. We'll get your name up on the board. Just so this has been a massive effort from a variety of people. If I missed you, moderators, Illuminati, I apologize, but Aiden, Jaeger, Eris, Spinnaker, Z, like people who've been a part of this all for years. So we'll be getting started very, very soon as the competitors join. DLL, if you don't mind, last night I streamed the I streamed Battlegrounds because one of the things is we're now in the off season, and I think a lot of players are very excited about this, that we can now play Battlegrounds in the off season. It's a fun mode, and I streamed the Gladiator Circuit, which is what Andrew and Finn will be matching on today.
Mm-hmm.
Would you mind walking everybody through that a little bit? Because I think a lot of people are playing the victory track right now. Would you mind just walking everyone through it so we can kind of get
you have it up?
Yeah.
Because Yeah, so the most important thing is the same node as in the victory track, right? Is that bolster node, which is when the defender is suffering from a damage over time effect. Effect here refers to debuff or passive, and that does include instant passive. So things like Guardian's instant shocks. Feel like there are people with instant incinerates. Oh yeah, Mephisto. That would, I think, count for this. Any of that will trigger this energy resistance, and as we saw on your stream last night, that does stack, right? So you can't just overwhelm it with somebody like Kushala, who drops a bunch of those effects all at once. So you really have to pay attention to your damage types. The damage over time effect, I do want to call out, does not affect something that is just energy burst damage. That is not included, but it's anything that's named like cold snap, plasma, frostbite, etc. The next, sorry, go ahead.
If you're like, thanks for interrupting me, then go ahead and just continue on, because I could see you tying this back in later. How would this interact with someone like Absorbing Man?
Yeah, so that's exactly what I was thinking. Absorbing Man will be better in Uru anyway, because physical damage is better here. His energy burst damage will work, but the problem is, for him to deal the most energy burst damage, he has to be in Refined Magma, where he's applying Incinerates anyway.
Okay.
Beta Ray Bill is another really good case study, because his energy burst damage when a shock expires will work, except if the shock is still there, right? Because then the energy resistance will still be up. So like those kinds of complexities are definitely going to be shaping the drafts here.
I wonder how much time these guys have been able to practice this. I think they both have a little bit, but not the same as if we were like in our third week of the season.
100%.
Okay.
And I imagine there probably will be at least one surprise interaction somewhere here today. The next one here, Reinvigorated Unblockable. Some of y'all are familiar with this from Alliance War, but when a regen buff or passive, including an instant passive, like Green Goblin's Madness regen when you hit him, if the defender is not heal blocked, as in a true heal block that's called a heal block on their info page, it has to be a debuff or a passive. So Warlock does not count, Archangel does not count. If they're not a heal block, if they're not heal blocked when they regen, they gain that dormant charge, and then when they get to 10, they go unblockable for 15 seconds. So you have to be really careful about how much your opponent heals when they're not heal blocked. Now, the good news I have is that this next node, Vital Strikes, which provides a bunch of regen, does not interact with that. The regen from Vital Strikes is not technically a regen passive, and I'm not going to spend too much time on that because it's super confusing. But the important part is just to know defenders will be healing when they hit into block, but that is not going to contribute to Reinvigorated. And then the last thing here is just, you can't rely on regen reversal. You can't abuse that Vital Strikes and turn it against the opponent. You just have to limit how much you block. Soul Barb is considered an energy damaging effect. Yes, that's a good question. So if you don't have the buff pause active, the burst would work for Beta Ray Bill. I think it's possible, Gundu. I was thinking exactly about that. I didn't personally test that. It depends on how quickly the energy resistance is removed.
I appreciate you really walking us all through that. I did need to kind of drop out for a minute. I was communicating with Andrew and Finn. They both waited. The interview with Crash was so much fun. We went over quite a bit. They both were waiting. They've both been told that they can go ahead and get started. So I expect them to start any minute. I'm going to quickly go over the rules of the... actually, Crash, are you still with us, bud? He may have had to dip out.
I am still here. Yeah.
Awesome. Was there anything that you felt you wanted to add on, or anything that you're like excited to see today, or something like that? I know that you're not going to stay with us the whole time.
At all. I assume that the Vital Strikes did interact with the other nodes, so that's interesting. Yeah, no, I don't have anything to add. I'm curious to see how this goes.
A little bit of insight is that when the node set was first designed, we all thought that it did interact. But then when we got to the testing phase, we found that it didn't, but we were also testing enough champions with multi-hit specials that we were like, that's okay, we can leave that one.
Right. So who do you think are going to be kind of like the star defenders here, DLL?
I think it's going to be really interesting. I'm not 100% sure without testing it, but Green Goblin this last war season was really dangerous on that node because people kind of underestimate anyone who has a like regen when they take damage is probably a distinct regen passive every single time that damage comes in, which means each tick will count. So any of those champions are going to be very, very dangerous. Finn is asking in the chat if they can start. And also, Vega, could I trouble you to share your screen?
Yes, you can, but I'm not going to do it. Just kidding. Yes, I can absolutely do that. And Finn, they might not be listening, and it's great to know that they're not online. They're focusing on their match. I will share my screen right now.
Thank you.
Make sure he's sure.
Wolverine Weapon X is a pretty good shout. The one thing there is that people are probably more used to bringing heal blocks for Weapon X than they are for someone like Green Goblin. But that's going to be really interesting. Yeah, Sinister, you need a heal block up instantly against Sinister. I will project a little bit less for now, Chaos. Thanks for the shout.
Are they saying you're a little loud? I can turn you down. I think you're doing great. I prefer you do project. Let me see if I can turn you down.
My wife calls me on it sometimes when I get off stream. She goes, streamer voice. Like, sorry.
You're like, oh, am I speaking too clearly and enunciating too well for you right now? I'm sorry. I'll go back to mumbling. I don't know why.
Should I not be resonating 20 feet away?
Yeah. I'll turn you down just a little bit. It's funny because we usually have the other, we usually tune you up. But please let us know. I think Crash might be a little bit quiet too. So I'll go ahead and raise his volume.
Can Leader reverse Weapon X's heal? No, because Weapon X is immune to regen rate modification in general, which is what Leader has access to.
And then just real quick, setting this up. As soon as the match starts, like actually for those who aren't familiar with the Battlegrounds, or just kind of, forgot, it's been a while, but we're back now. We do this monthly. I will adjust both of their screens if they need adjusting once they're actually fighting, because everything moves around and there's different aspect ratios depending on what device they're playing that. So I know Andrew is a little off at the moment. Don't worry. Once they actually start, we will get him right. And if there's any adjustments to be made for Finn, we will also get that right. Setting you up for like what you're about to witness. Yes, it's a Battlegrounds match. We're changing the format of the VBC. It is going to be a monthly title match. This is similar to how I understand UFC works. It's how boxing worked, at least forever. A lot of people have used the term King of the Hill. Right now, because he won 3 of the 4, the Spreadsheet Wizards, the Adamantium, and Adam G, they did a very complex, very accurate rating of everyone throughout season 1 of the VBC. Fintech dominated it. A lot of people did great, but at the end of the day, Fintech had a significantly higher rating than anyone. As a result, as we're continuing on the VBC, as it's moving forward every single month with a championship match, I thought it was only right for Fintech to be the VBC champion. He's putting his title on the line against the #1 rated challenger, Andrewtheruff. I think, again, hard to argue with that. And then just so you're like, well, okay, that's cool, but what about next one? Barrowman. That's all. That's just Barrowman. He will be fighting the winner, because Barrowman will obviously be the #1 ranked challenger going against either Fintech or Andrew, who at that time will be the VBC champion. And then we will just continue on with that. I'm really happy about this. I think it's going to be a superior viewer experience. We can all make sure we see the title match. For this specific match you're watching right now, Fintech versus Andrew. And you can see they're doing their bans and things, so their draft right now. There's going to be a best of 9, and I think that's what we're going to continue with, because we want to remove RNG as much as we can. There's a lot in the nodes, the mode is what makes it fun, but we're going to be doing a best of 9. They each are allowed 3 kind of timeouts, let's call them, basically breaks of 3 minutes at the most. We're not looking for stalling. We're looking for like things come up in life, or maybe you just want to take a breather. They are each allowed 3 deck changes. That doesn't mean a full deck. It can just be a single champion or something like that. And then last but not least, they are each allowed 3 rerolls. So they can use them strategically whenever they want to use them. If there's anything else that's confusing, please ask it in the chat, or if DL or Crash, if you kind of, as you're listening, like, wait, that didn't sound right, or you misspoke, please let me know. I just want to make sure everyone understands what they're about to see right now.
Interesting note here. Finn has a rank 3 Weapon X. And as far as I can tell, because I'm still adjusting a little bit to the dual view, Andy does not have an explicit heal blocker. He did have access to Lady Deathstrike and chose not to go with her. Now, maybe the thing there is that he's just used to fighting Weapon X as unblockable anyway, right?
Yeah.
So you feel you don't need one, but that's going to be a really interesting choice. I also want to call out, in their bans, both of them just chose nukes, basically. So it seems like, at least for now, they are treating this as a relatively vanilla meta. We see Luke Cage here against Andrew's Serpent. I know that this is a match Finn has experimented with a little bit. He actually wasn't happy with pulling Luke Cage multiple times from the Titan to kind of tie it back to that. But he and I have been talking a little bit, and he sent me a screenshot of this exact matchup recently, so I know it's been on his mind. And to Gundu's earlier question in the chat, you do see here that Luke Cage with Despair is reducing the regen from willpower, but not zeroing it out because of the recovery mastery, right? So Finn's playing pretty well, but Andy did have a good Tigra match. That is basically the way you want that to go, right? If Serpent turtles up and he gets his true focus up, then you can definitely be in trouble with Tigra. But if you can keep the tempo aggressive, well, then she's fantastic. And obviously ruptures are all physical damage, so she's not going to be slowed down at all in this meta.
Yeah, I would say that was pretty much as perfect as a Serpent fight could go there for Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the things, we picked up on that so early in Battlegrounds, was, especially at this level, it's worth it to go, not risky, but aggressive. If it doesn't work, if Serpent gets fear up or something like that, and Tigra, it just blows him in his face, he's lost anyway. Losing by 500 points is ultimately the same as losing by 40,000. And we saw that consistently from these really top tier players, just this like very aggressive play.
Right. You really have to set yourself up for, if I'm going to win, what's it going to look like?
I do want to take a quick second to shout out our official sponsor of this whole stream. The reason why, and it should be commercial free for all of you, is from Usafa Gaming. Thank you so much, Usafa, for supporting it. He believed in what we're doing. He believed in supporting the community, getting as many eyes on this as possible. When I told him that Pepe and Misty would also be streaming this in Spanish and in Portuguese, just even better. Thank you very much to our official sponsor, Usafa Gaming. Channel is linked in the description and in the pinned comment. Make sure to go check him out.
Oh, there we go. Finn's using his Weapon X as an attacker for Bullseye. So that's the other potential part. Not to speak fully to Andy's thought process, but it very much could have been on his mind that I don't need a counter to Weapon X because I'm going to place Bullseye and draw him out that way. Very interesting to see Black Cat versus Sasquatch here. A bit of a slow matchup on the way up, but once you get... Oh, you know what? I do remember hearing that the Black Widow relic has been having some trouble, right? Has not been causing the beeper to fail. So the setup here is going to be really tough. Once you get Sasquatch to 40% and you can fail his regen, then you're great, right? But look how he just barely held on to the sabotage that long, and then he had no duration left. So you're relying just on critical bleeds and her luck aura. But it turns out that was enough, because Weapon X did take enough damage from Bullseye to offset the extra time.
Chat, if you could let me know that myself and DLL and Crash are all coming in around the same volume. There's a lot that Crash and DLL cannot control on their sides. I'd appreciate it.
A bit of a zoom out, Abdo in the chat. The Trello board is generally for things that we have like identified are definitely broken, but we know that are going to take us some time to fix. So what we need to identify first with that one is if it's the kind of thing that we can just fix in the next build, or if it's going to take a little bit longer. So I'd expect it's not on the board yet.
All right. So I was doing a lot of like let's call them administrative things, adjusting sizes, volumes, and things like that. And please continue to let me know if they're a little off for you. So I missed it, but it looked like Andrew did take the first one 2-0, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Correct,
you.
yeah. It looks like Fintech's thinking about changing up his bands here. Andrew just went with the same ones, I believe.
Yep. And he does arrive at the same 3.
That's the other interesting thing, right? Because we did so many best of 7s and things like that. And I recall thinking that the third round was always like a big, statistically, I think it even turned out that way. Not that it necessarily determined who was going to win, but it was a pivotal round in each of them, right? Because an opponent or a competitor was either down 2-0 or it was 1-1. And it felt like by right around round 3, they had kind of figured out what they were going to do. With this being a best of 9, I'm guessing, I'm prognosticating that that's going to change. It might even be a little further back. It could end up being like round 4 or 5, as long as they don't get in too big of a hole. And then I think that's going to be intensified by like, there's just not a lot of experience with this node set yet.
Having watched Finn, he has a tendency to come from behind. But another comment in the chat I want to shout out is Crazy Cat Player is saying, Finn had pretty bad RNG with the Weapon X fight, or good RNG, if you want to look at it that way. But he didn't have abilities fail. He wasn't building rage as quickly as you would want in that fight. And so he didn't get the regen online in time, which is why he lost so much health to Bullseye. That fight very easily could have gone differently. You can also imagine a version of Andy's fight where he just barely loses the sabotage a little bit sooner, doesn't get as many critical bleeds. That one was closer than it looked.
Yeah, it looks very likely that we're going to see that Bullseye Weapon X matchup again here.
Mm-hmm.
I love that matchup. Crash, I think it was on the live stream you kind of mentioned, this goes back a bit, but that Weapon X was going to be like a reward for the event. And you mentioned like also kind of coming back into meta relevance. I don't know if you specifically called out Bullseye, but I love that matchup. Like that champion has been an absolute blast for me. I even got like some graphics made with my face on the body. That's how much I enjoyed it.
Nice. Yeah, I think that was a recommendation from the champion and balance teams when we were talking about Weapon X, just talking about how he was, I think, underrated on attack, and I think it's definitely come to pass that that's the case.
Mm-hmm. Of course, Andy got lucky with that rank 3 Enchantress. Jeez.
Yeah, I was going to say, Andrew has a very scary defensive setup here with Serpent and Enchantress and Bullseye. Yeah,
we see Nagase and MP Blaze, 2 pretty darn high skill players, saying it's Enchantress time. Or actually, I think MP Blaze might be referring to something else, but still, hello, MP.
Yeah, MP's talking about what Andrew is drinking.
I love seeing this werewolf on the other side. I love werewolf, but this matchup can go really well, especially if Finn does a nice job of timing the immortality and that power gain with the really long specials of werewolf.
Mm-hmm. And we see the glancing just came up on the Maestro side of the screen, but Andy is back at 2 bars of power here. He goes for it. He doesn't get the precision. And he didn't have the heavy up just yet. This could buy Finn enough time. Let's see.
It is Serpent's immortality versus the health pool of Maestro right now. That's the way I'm seeing this.
Yep, and he's about to go into Superior Rage. And there are the passives, and he goes red. That's exactly what Vega was talking about. It's like, if you win this fight, I know from having been there, like that's the time in a tournament where you're like, if Finn hasn't messed up yet, then he's probably at this point in the matchup because I've done it. And so I know that it is time for me to close it out. I have to risk this. And if it kills, I win. If it doesn't, I lose.
Yeah, that's ultimate risk for the biscuit. Like, it either goes well and you win, or it doesn't, you lost, but you've lost anyways. The really cool, I mean, is anyone surprised at the showcase of skill there, right? But, I mean, I think there actually was a split second there where Serpent had 3 bars and got up, and it looked to me like Finn came in with a striker. It's hard when you're watching both screens.
Right. Finn was taking advantage of the dupe on Werewolf, giving him that passive unblockable, which does transfer to the striker. He was just holding on until Death Immunity went away. Really well done.
Nagasa is making a good point here. Enchantress is a very skill-based defender, so there's a chance someone like Finn might neutralize her defensive prowess a little bit. Odie's saying that he feels like Dex was triggered a little early, and Adam, Depresioncito, and of course Pablo, all really smart players, pointing that out too with the striker intercept. So thanks, guys.
I mean, it's important to note, Garbo, that on Andy's side, the striker wasn't unblockable, right? So it's inherently riskier to do that for a stand-up against a opponent with 3 bars than when you are unblockable.
This is just essentially this is a strategic throw on Finn's side, right? Using Photon for Bullseye.
Certainly looks like it.
Yeah, I'm struggling to think of some secret use that I'm not aware of.
Yeah, like she's bleed immune and he is going for partial dexes. She keeps debuffs up, so you're mitigating vital strikes, but still, like those crits giving him regen through block. Like you can see how little progress he's making.
Yeah. I was like, this is either a strategic. Oh, go ahead, Crash.
I was gonna say it's interesting that Fintech opted not to go for the Weapon X again, right?
Right. Because he might have had time given how much or how this Hulk fight is going. It definitely would have been a gamble.
I wonder if this is maybe a throw for Fintech. Maybe he thinks saving Weapon X for the final round here.
I think so.
Yeah, I'm almost positive. I felt strongly that this is definitely going to be a throw. Either a 1% chance though that this is Finn's version of Celestial Secrets, trademark Trappy.
Yeah, because Finn, like Andy probably has to use Sasquatch for Weapon X, right? And then you're hoping for a kill shot on the special too.
Right, while we're waiting for this fight to finish out, I saw a question in chat a couple months ago. I think it was on Brian Grant's stream, and I mentioned that Hulkling was the most used Battlegrounds attacker. Chat's asking if that's still the case. Looking just sort of arbitrarily at the last 2 months, Cosmic Ghost Rider has actually unseated him as the most common Battlegrounds attacker.
I don't know if I would have predicted it because I guess my brain cells are gone. But yeah, I've even myself put out a couple of videos in the last few months of the rise, I think, of some of the more powerful defenders. Not that CGR was not good. He was obviously amazing. But it feels like it's given him even more relevance.
Worth shouting out, as the chat is saying, Finn full-dexed one of Bullseye's special ones there. Ooh, okay, so Finn is going to use Weapon X for Enchantress, and I guess rely on her small health pool and the regen.
Let's go.
Pulling out his Atuma for defense, which does make sense.
Weapon X also goes unstoppable, right, when he misses, if I remember correctly?
Yes.
So I'm really zeroed in on that side of the screen. And he pulls off ridiculous stuff with his Sasquatch, though, so don't sleep on that side.
Yeah.
I love this. The pushing the defender to the special 3, you are going to heal it all back. I mean, you don't want this, right? This is costing him time, but this is a very, very smart strategic play, in my opinion.
Right. He assumes he has some time. Because basically, like, you can almost guarantee with Atuma the first special 2, because we even saw it crit, right? It's probably not going to kill, so you have to wait to the second.
but he lost his rage stacks. He still might be able to finish her off if he can keep the bleeds up.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be tight. Oh!
Yep. Woof.
Wow.
Gotta love that strategic special 3 tank.
Yeah, but he kept up the bleeds too. Like, very great presence of mind from both of them, but particularly by Fintech on that one.
Absolutely.
J. Will, Abdo, Clobbering Time. What's up, guys? Aaron from Ohio, Mr. Fernandez and Laser, Eric Sai. From watching both these guys, and they've just continued to, I think, refine their skill as a Battlegrounds player since we were doing this. I think they're still filling each other out a little bit. I got to be honest. I think they're still getting their legs. You know, right now they're
very confident in his bands. That was immediate.
Ooh, okay, there we go. That's what we're shooting for.
He definitely manipulated that last round in a way that that I can tell you I certainly wouldn't have been able to in the attacker defender choices there.
I also sorry, go ahead.
No, I just you have Fintech Crash.
Yeah.
I'm going to get up on a small soapbox here for a second and say that last round is exactly why I feel so strongly that we, as Kabam, need to avoid privileging 2-0 wins over 2-1 wins. Because I think that kind of throw and reversal is a skill that needs respect.
I agree. I agree with that for sure. I think this strategic throw is one of the most interesting things that can happen in Battlegrounds.
Mm-hmm. If Enchantress can throw a special one at 2.9 bars of power, I think Spider-Ham can actually reach his maximum output. That's a cool thought.
It is, especially because Pablo has done some pretty deep analysis into Spider-Ham.
Yeah.
Billy D's trying to get us to summon Slayer of Gods. I hope Slayer's watching some CGR talk.
I throw all the time, just unintentionally.
Campo's here too. All my friends are here. All right, so let's back to this match. I like I said earlier, round 3 always felt like the big pivotal one. I'm not saying it's not, but I still think they're filling each other out right now.
Yeah, man, I'm just talking about the framing, because I've seen a lot of suggestions for us to add in something to that effect, and I always resist it for that reason.
And we got
I don't think I clocked it was still a 6-star Atuma.
Probably get that higher SIG going, right?
I suppose so.
I didn't notice either. But that would be my assumption on that.
My guess is he just doesn't have the 7.
Yeah, I mean, I personally prefer my 7-star 2 that I think is only 20 or 40, but I'm also not playing at their level.
Yeah, it's just a little bit bolder, and it's why the fight was so close, right? It's a little bit bolder to assume, or not to assume, but to gamble that your 6-star Atuma will hold off a 7-star Sasquatch like that. Ooh, I think that was a small mistake from Finn. I don't think he meant to eat any hits from Bullseye there.
Agreed. Andy's doing a nice job, masterclass of it, on using the unblockable, unstoppable, and I can always forget the other thing that makes it so there it is, indestructible of Titania. And getting power through it.
No, Kabam Crashed is not Kabam John with an H. We have a lot of employees.
Any other John, the John with an H.
That was a bit of a masterclass on Titania versus Atuma. I love Titania, but that was brilliant on that side.
Yeah. Going back to what we talked about earlier with the energy resistance stacking, look at those 27 stacks of energy resist. Like, once the degen hits, it's insane, but you're doing nothing until then.
So
and then he loses them, unfortunately, because he wasn't able to get a pause up before. That's just brutal. That's a fight that can definitely still work, but that did not go quite the way he wanted it to.
And I wonder if it's due to the initial mistake or if Finn's going to decide, I don't like this matchup. Because he's also just lost out on a great defender.
Yeah, I mean, I think he basically just YOLO'd the SP2 hoping that it would kill without the pause there, obviously. But
Right. Because if you haven't done it in this matchup yet, you're probably used to throwing the special 2 with the opponent's health a little bit lower, and then it maybe did.
I wonder with that mistake he made early on if he thought he had his striker ready.
That might be it. Nagase is asking when we're going to get the John versus John Battle Royale.
Don't think
so if we use our production accounts, I think I'll win. John will wipe the floor with me.
Okay, so we're going to get a chance to see if Andrew can pull off Tiger versus... this is... Oh, no, it's not exactly the same match. We're going to get to see Tiger versus Serpent. See if he can pull it off exactly as well as he did previously. So far, so good. He needs Serpent to throw, which he does.
Perfectly timed knockdown from Finn there.
I think Tiger's...
And he waits to howl. Yeah, I think Tiger's got it, but there's that 25% chance.
Yeah, it could kick in. And we are famous for jinxing competitors.
And it does.
Yep. Oh, no.
But Maestro's still got a lot of health.
He's got to finish it. He did.
And there's the special intercept.
Great presence of mind by Andrew.
Yeah, way to handle the death immunity. It did feel like he was ready for it.
Yes, there actually was a promo code to my surprise, and it was VBCV. No space, correct, Crash?
Correct.
Yeah. Thank you, Abdo, for putting that in there. And I believe I said hello to the Empress of Artistry herself, none other than Kat Murdoch. I saw her name in the chat.
It's interesting because I don't think I've ever seen Finn ban Tigra.
I was just going to ask.
But she's being so much more helpful for Andy and so much less shy. I wonder if it's crossed his mind.
I will say right now, I think that is a great thought, and I'm glad you brought it up. I will be shocked if he bans Tigra.
Me too. Banning your own signature champion is on a new level. And also, it's also just been drop luck, right? That he hasn't seen her.
Right. And I feel cursed in that way, where so often if I face somebody who also has the champs that I've built, they get them and I don't.
You know, that's interesting, Dale, because I've personally never felt that way. I never get the champions I build, but neither does anyone else. Oh, wait, I get it now. I get it. The people watching are like, that guy's a moron.
Because the other thing I was thinking is that from a deck construction perspective, I think Andy needs her more than Finn does.
So that's the kind of thing that Finn notices in a tournament. Like you said, we see him come from behind all of the time.
Yeah. He just picked Weapon X over Tigra.
He knows what he's doing. And I know you're saying that. I'm just more emphasizing the point. He knows he can come from behind. He knows what he's doing. I've seen him just do this time and time again in tournaments.
It's going to be interesting. That's the first Sinister we've seen thus far, right?
I believe so, yeah.
It is, yeah.
He didn't pick Tiger. Is that legal? I think it is, given what we've seen with Weapon X.
He's doing it again.
And see, that's what I mean, is I think his deck needs it less given Andy's defenders.
He did. He passed on
We'll
Tiger,
see.
right? Again?
Yeah. In favor of Luke, which makes me chuckle.
I'm going to go back and check my chat with him and make sure he didn't think I made some weird rule that he's not allowed to draft her. That is...
Oh, I know she's not an insta draft. That's exactly what I'm saying, Dab.
Someone check his temp. I think so.
I think that's the first time we've seen Death Strike too. This is going to be interesting.
All right, here we go. Was it Lady Deathstrike?
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's relevant in the moment, everyone make sure you check out Simula 67. I think if you just type in Simula MCoC, I can't imagine it not coming up. But I believe the number is 67. Phenomenal video today on Lady Deathstrike. And watch the whole thing. I know it's tempting to fast forward and things. Watch the whole thing. It is a really great analysis on her overall as a 7-star. I'm a big fan of course, Lady Deathstrike, but definitely Simula. And that's the sort of excellence I'm used to from him. Fantastic video. In fact, if a moderator can put it in the chat so people can tab it and watch it or put it onto the watch later, I would appreciate it.
This Silk fight's going to be really interesting. The slow makes it safe to throw specials, which is nice. You really don't want her to regen. That said, you definitely can play Death Strike as though she's perma unblockable. And with Silk, you only need to hit a few times. I'm kind of surprised you didn't go for the special 2-kill shot, honestly.
Yeah, well, I'm a little confused. I'm far from a Silk master, but
I personally would have trusted her there.
Yeah, especially knowing CGR's on the other side.
And actually, he used his striker. I'm almost wondering if he missed the button.
I think he did. I think he messed up. Because then the not throwing the special 3.
Yeah, I think he missed the button on the special 2.
Or he was just relying on a mess up on the other side.
That stings.
Yeah.
I wonder if there was a world where he just decided he was just not going to throw a special in that matchup.
Maybe so, given her regen.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
That could have explained just going with the striker, because it was a narrow loss.
Yeah, that's true. Or I mean, we're talking about it as if like it was catastrophic, but one single tiny slip up or AI bump in the road on the other side, and he gets a win. So, yeah. Finn is a master of the comeback. I don't think you want to be down too much to Andy, though.
Nope.
In a best of 9, I think you're okay being down 3-1, but it's not where you want to be.
The phrase I'm used to is your opponent can close the door on you.
Yeah.
Oh, Andy got clipped by a special there.
Very nice inverted Onslaught Special 2 decks there. Going for it over the Special 1 to keep things quick. And a brutal Special 2 from Future Ant-Man.
Pays off.
All right. Let's see how round 3 goes. I did look down to make sure I hadn't jinxed that yet. It was close.
It's so hard, right? Like as an announcer, you want to be like, it looks like it. Oh God, why did I say that? I'm so sorry. You know, but I think we should still have fun. Hey, Justin, I know you, man, and a frequent commenter. I don't think we're going to get to that one today, but I did want you to know at least I'm an acknowledging, buddy, and I always appreciate your support and coming by with the streams and stuff. I just don't think this is the stream
don't
for
really
it.
have an answer to that either.
All right, here we go. We're going to get to see Luke versus Finn played this well earlier, if I remember correctly. Oh, and My Girl America. And I know Andy's going to remember this, but you can't stun Wolverine when he's in that rage thing. But I know Andy will, but I know a lot of players forget that. In fact, I'm curious how he's going to play this.
Interesting here. Finn is intentionally pushing to special 3. It will do no damage, but he does have enough exhaustions up to cut the resulting power gain in half, and he might even stop it with the concussion. Ooh, and he gets tagged there. Yeah. Yeah, because he's already taken out enough off of Serpent that with Despair, there's no way for the fight to go back the other way.
Because, I mean, Finn's clearly won this. Is a beautiful fight. Luke Cage. You guys see why I've got him at rank 3 unawakened and why he's one of my most wanted pools? Getting him awakened would allow for that strategy there of tanking that special 3. This goes way back because I did see it. Speaking of people who comment and are great supporters of my channel, and I appreciate it. Larry, you're right. And hopefully Larry's even still listening. For the comment, for everyone, just to give a little context, was, I had said that Luke Cage and Superior Iron Man are some of my most wanted pulls from the Titan. And so I didn't mean to say, therefore, it's a good crystal. And I realized that may have been what came across. It was not my intention. And Larry did point that out, like, hey, look, those are recent reworks. And Larry, you're 100% correct. And if I insinuated that or implied that, that was not my intention. My intention was that Subiot Supreme, I think, is a darn good champion. And that was really the intention. And because Crash and DL, I know you might be tempted to respond. If you want to, fine. If you don't, totally okay. We can just continue to move on. I know Larry and I read his comments and I wanted to at least give him a respectful response and not feel ignored.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Speaking of Sim, there he is in the chat. What's up, buddy?
I think all I can say on that is that to a certain extent, if you're not valuing new release champions in the crystal, we're not going to make up for that. We have to. That's our new stuff, right?
Yeah,
and that's exactly right. The primary value of the Titan Crystal is your way to access the new champions. If you don't find value in that, then the crystal's not going to be for you, basically.
Right.
And Simula, I was minutes earlier, probably like 10. Lady Deathstrike got placed on defense, and I was commenting on. You just wake up in the morning and piss excellence, man. That video was phenomenal on Lady Deathstrike this morning, and I was telling everyone that they need to watch the whole thing. Watch the whole thing. Don't skip to the end. Don't leave in the middle. You need to watch the whole thing. And I thought you did a phenomenal job on it. And I asked for it to be shared in the chat, but I don't know if it has. This chat's been moving quite a bit. But there, and I thought it was 67. I thought it was Simula 67. So there it is. Great video, my friend. Appreciate you being here. And
first Gamora appearance there. Just want to shout that out.
Huge thank you to Ozfan. Looking forward to next month. Oh, right, buddy. I love to hear that. Enjoy now while also being excited about the future. That's what we're all about, buddy. And Speedhawk, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate this. And I will always do my best to get as smart and as entertaining co-hosts as I possibly can. Today, we just happened to hit a grand slam with these two.
Thank you. Hassama, I don't mind spoiling. The Cyclops rework will not be on me, but thank you. There is another developer who has been tossing around ideas for a Cyclops rework for as long as I have been at Kabam. It's in good hands.
All right. I did update the score. We are at a 2-2 tie, correct? Fintech took that one. Andy made the small mistake in America versus Wolverine Weapon X, and we're tied up to 2-2, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
We may see a repeat of Titania versus Tuma. I wonder if Finn is hoping for some variance there. Or he may just be trying to show us all how great Mr. Sinister is.
DL, you and I have learned this from commenting on so many of these. I wanted to make sure we were all right on the Andrew side. Looked like just a little stream delay there. I'll see a matchup like, oh, this is never going to work. And then 30 seconds in, I'm like, oh, they just knew something I didn't. And so I'm very much wondering if that's what we're seeing on this left side here.
Very well could be. It's interesting because remember the way Sinister's heavy works is that he pauses effects on the opponent. See here, the degens are paused. He would have held on to those first 10 degens significantly longer if Maestro hadn't thrown that special one and burned out their duration. Ooh, he got a little bit lucky there where when he did get clipped, it was a regen. This is an interesting fight.
Yeah, and this is like the epitome of the Sinister fights that I experience. I don't have a highly ranked Sinister, so I don't get to do them. But I will almost always beat my opponent on time. But then their Sinister comes out with 100% health, and it's close, or
Yeah,
I don't think that's going to happen on this end. It looks like there was a mistake, and so it's taken a little too long. But I think that was the ultimate goal.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of getting used to the way Sinister works with stuns and how long you can charge, and then running into the Striker not working the same way.
Yeah. And I think this is also showing that we're early in this meta. I think 2-3 weeks into this, some of this stuff is refined. The immediacy, with they know different matchups and things like that comes from the reps that these guys do.
I want to point out a couple times here. I mean, it's not always 100%. You saw it just hurt him there, but there was a time earlier where Finn did manage to manipulate the AI enough to force a block so that he could do a full unanswered charge without stunning. Which, if you can manage that, saves health against Maestro's Pierce. I think that was honestly a little bit of a throw and experimentation.
And he continues to give the masterclass on ways to build power with Titania using her indestructible. It was Nagase. Thanks credit to Nagase, was willing to share that tip with me in a DM. I don't know, it was a while ago now. And then I think Bitter Steel was one of the first ones to show it, right, with the title of Titania, the best mutant champion in MCoC or something like that. Very clever.
Cat asked Crashed, which champion do you think would have the best chocolate chip cookie recipe?
I don't know.
I'm disappointed in you, Crash. This might be the first time I've ever felt disappointment in how you respond to something. Let's watch this match and then get right back to it, because I think there's a very obvious answer to this question.
This is a really interesting one. Nick relying entirely on deep wounds because his bleeds are so short on their base duration. Serpent's production almost doesn't matter.
This feels like literally, we talked about this yesterday on stream. DL, I believe you were there and we were talking about it. Where sometimes in a video or on a stream, people say like, well, how realistic was this matchup in Battlegrounds? This will never happen. And we're like, actually, you don't always end up with that. Like sometimes you use Maestro on offense against I can't remember her name right now. I want to call her Honeydew. And sometimes you end up using Nick Fury versus Serpent. It just happens. It can get dirty in Battlegrounds. It can get a little ugly.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, both of them had strategic reasons for doing this. It is round 2.
Yep. And just so we can put a nail on this one, tie it up a nice bow, I think it is obvious that if any champion in MCoC is going to be doing any sort of cooking, whether it's grilling, it's baking, whatever, it's obviously should be Venompool.
If he doesn't win, I think it comes down to him just not having a chocolate chip cookie recipe because that's too basic, right?
Everyone's like, why Venable? He's got a cookie meter, folks. He's got a cookie meter.
He's got a cookie meter.
Yeah.
I was just trying to figure out which champion is the most French.
Ah.
That's a good answer.
That's I could come up with his Gambit because he's Cajun.
I was gonna say, does North Star count through Montreal?
Ooh, I like it. I've recently been informed by some of my French-speaking viewers that North Star's name in French is actually Vega. So
yeah, that one confused me after I looked up what Vega is French for, but I don't know. I don't make those choices.
I assumed it was for the star system, but
you're probably right. Because
Also-
apparently
yeah.
the literal translation is like floodplain.
oh, well, yeah, that's definitely not it. This I realize to a lot of viewers, this feels like the big round. I don't think it is. I mean, trust me, they both want to win. I think the way this is played out, it's actually the next one. That's going to put all the pressure on. That's going to set the momentum. They want to win this one, I'm sure. But I think it's going to be round 6 the way this is played. It's going to be kind of a determining factor.
Yeah, these are both solid but not ideal matchups, right?
I think Thinterceptor's more or less correct, assuming good play by both of them, which I think we can feel safe, assuming they're both going to play excellently.
Right. That's basically the point I was about to make, that like we've seen Finn feels pretty comfortable in this. It's probably going to be decently consistent. And so it just comes down to the variance on the Sasquatch side, because Onslaught has a lot of power here.
You can tell Andy...
That power drain in Wrath is really coming in handy.
That's what I was going to say. You can tell Andy knows how to play Serpent too, utilizing that Wrath.
Ooh, and Finn got hit after the special 3 there. Yep, that probably calls this one.
I think I can put it on the board. I think this is...
Yeah. But they've been volleying back and forth. That's 3-2.
And this is it. This is why I said 6 is, it's going to give one of them the chance to go up 2 rounds, which, if I'm looking at it correctly, neither of them has been able to do yet. Yeah. And so I think that might be, even though we've talked about how great Finn is at coming back, that's a lot to do against a competitor like Andy. So I really think Andy's got a chance here to...
Right. Because if they hold this rhythm, Andy wins in the 9th.
Yeah.
Which is still impressive. So Finn does need to pull off 2 at a time.
Also, just for what it's worth, because they have been trading, I think this kind of shows that whoever invites and all that, it doesn't determine who's going to win. Because Finn was given the opportunity to make any decision he wanted for round 1, and then they were going to alternate from there due to him being the champion.
Yeah, we actually have data on this, and the win rate advantage for picking first versus second is pretty marginal. It's not 0, but even in a best of 9, it's slim enough that it's unlikely to be the determining factor.
That's interesting. Thanks for sharing that.
We're considering altering the draft somehow to try to make it exactly 0, giving one player maybe an extra choice in one of the rounds or something like that. But yeah, it's close enough that for a match like this, it's probably not going to be the difference.
You know what else I want to bring up is we did set the rule that each competitor could have up to 3 rerolls. To the best of my paying attention, I don't think I've seen either of them use even a single reroll.
I haven't noticed one yet.
Yeah.
And I don't believe either has changed their deck yet either, have they?
I haven't seen it.
It's been moving fast enough that we probably would have seen them do that.
Yeah. And I just want to take a moment and again, remind everyone, because of our official sponsor today, and Usafa Gaming, he wanted to support this whole thing. He heard about what we're doing. He sponsored a lot of the VBC tournaments. Big believer in bringing community together, us all having a great time together, celebrating this, having the great interview with Crash. His one stipulation was show all of this with zero commercial interruption. So the reason we're seeing literally zero commercials today is thanks to none other than Usafa Gaming. The link to his channel is in the pinned comment as well as the description. Really, really great guy. Consider him to be a real life friend as well.
Crash, you've got me thinking now about how few French Marvel champions there are. The only one that's coming to mind for me is Grey Gargoyle. Oh, and I guess Batroc.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a short list.
It is a very maybe our next original. We'll have to
give us your favorite Francophiles, everyone. I think I meant to say Francophones, but close enough.
It works. Speedhawk, thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate that a lot. Another shout out for you, Safa.
I don't think Finn has drafted Killmonger yet. I understand why with the defenders and attackers we've seen, especially that Cosmic Ghost Rider going unanswered. But interesting to note, given that he has a rank 3. Right, but Guillotine is a Kabam original, right? So, like, that almost underlines it. Phantom X is an interesting shout. I didn't know that one.
Jay Will, thank you. I hadn't noticed it, but it makes sense. This is the first time Finn is actually grabbing Tigra. It does not happen to the 6th round.
All right. Looks like we might see Wolverine again.
Yeah, I was hoping I was waiting for him to select enter because I love this matchup. It's just fun. It can go sideways, though. It is not an automatic win. Might be for Finn, but it's not for me.
Worth pointing out, Onslaught's resistances include the damage from Aura of Incineration, for those of you who haven't tried this fight. So he won't be taking damage, but he will have to deal with the power gain, and that might make holding on to the pause a little bit more difficult. I'm glad I got that thought out, because that was an impressive counter there.
Finn is really relying on the regen of Weapon X. I'm watching him play, and he took a good amount of damage before he went into rage, and I don't think he's going to get... Yeah. I'm sure he knows what he's doing. I don't think this is how he wanted it to go.
And he was not able to get the pause on the degens there.
I think this is one of those...
really clever how he's pushing him to special too, but that does have consequences. Sorry, Vega, go ahead.
No, I appreciate you pointed out. I have the feeling they're both going to be surprised by the score when they come out of this one. No matter how it turns out, I think they're both going to think, oh, that did not go how I thought it would go on the other side. Let's see Andy's face. You can see it in his face when he sees the score. And he doesn't do it. Andy! We want to see your face. All right. You never count out Finn. Andy's got a shot, I think, to really put this away right now.
Exodus is an interesting shout, Adam. Deal, MKD. We will not give you Cyclops.
I want to see this on Finn's side.
It makes sense, but yeah, I don't know that I've personally seen this one just yet.
I don't think there was a meta a long time ago, and maybe even I showed it. I'm pretty sure Nagase did, and potentially Grass. But it was a meta that was kind of really beneficial for for Red Guardian. He does have the full shield or whatever it's called, so that's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those are
Immediately going for that heavy.
But that's gonna glance, right? I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah, like the refresh doesn't glance, right? But you have to get to another special to really do damage.
Okay, so that's just a slower play that I'm not used to.
So here we see it. He's not at maximum yet, but he... Oh!
The space,
I really wanted to see that land.
Yeah, the spacing just wasn't there. Good presence of mind to keep up, but that's a trauma, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's got problems. He doesn't know what the other side looks like, though, so he's not aware.
I think he thought he was further behind than he was.
Yeah.
He kind of rushed it when he didn't have to, but obviously we have perfect information and he doesn't.
Absolutely.
Right.
Let's see if Andy lands his decks. Yeah. Red Guardian can close.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, if that first one had landed, he would have had this round.
Yep.
Right.
Probably not going to.
That special too, 40 seconds ago. It's a cool fight, though.
All right. This obviously sets it up. We now have a chance for Andrew to go ahead and completely put this away. I'm famous for my miscalculations on this, but DLL Crash, that is correct. Andrew is up 4-2 with a chance to put this away now.
That's
I can
correct.
confirm you have counted to 4.
Thank you. You know, people can't see. I only have 2 fingers on each hand, so it gets difficult for me to get up to 4.
Tough life out there.
It is. What's up, Allison? Thanks so much for being here. If you two could handle the announcing for a minute, I've got to cover an administrative thing.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you very much.
So this is Fintech's chance. Let's see if he decides to try to switch it up. He needs 3 in a row now.
Yep. Andy is, of course, locking in the same bands.
Yeah. Oh,
Ooh.
the bullseye. There we go.
So that does open up a rank 3 crossbones, but that bullseye has caused him just enough trouble, I think we can say.
Yeah, I would agree. He also, I believe he only has a 6-star of his own, right?
I think that sounds right. We see Andy pass on the Enchantress. I'm not surprised given his options, but just want to call that out. I actually have been enjoying the weather lately, Ernest. We're out of the danger zone.
It's winter in Vancouver all of a sudden. Woke up this morning with rain and a wet basement.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
That's okay. It's an old house with an unfinished basement. It happens all the time when it starts raining.
Gotcha. So we do see Finn grab Tigra again. We're also seeing Hulkling, who has not made much of an appearance yet.
I don't believe we've seen him at least in a fight yet.
Yeah. He's looking over Andy's deck and arrives at Shocker, which I think probably does make sense for that big onslaught.
All right, OG Highline is here as well. This is it. Andrew's got a chance to put this away. As we've referenced many times throughout this, we've all seen Fintech climb out of holes like this, though, and come back and win or force a further match. This is definitely not over till it's over. But
if
you got to
like
like
out of this
Andy's.
hole by drafting Tigra, I'm gonna laugh.
You gotta love Andrew's chances here, though, with his skill set to put this away. It feels right that Finn's finally got a tiger on his side. There he goes. He's going to punish this SP2. Very well played. Wake up, intercept with the heavy into the special 2. This is how the match ideally goes for Finn. Let's see if he can keep it going.
Nice use of the striker. Staying aggressive.
And it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. Too fast on the other side. Oh. Cosmic Ghost Rider. 2 6-stars coming in to be the nukes against 2 defenders. Definitely designed to at least stall you out, if nothing else. Yes, I did just decide with a designer on the call that I was going to be the one to say how they're designed. Here it goes. This is Andy's chance.
He is a little bit lighter on remaining defenders. I think this may come down to how much time Onslaught buys.
I'm feeling the weight of this. This feels big. I am feeling a little Wimbledon. I want to be quiet. I know they can't hear me, but there's something that makes me not want to interrupt their attention.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we're definitely going to see some matchups we haven't seen yet here now.
Yeah. I really like Shocker for this fight. I took mine to rank 3 in the same week we sent out the rank down tickets. He's so good.
He's the only gifted guardian I didn't get, unfortunately.
Ah.
Here we go.
I think I'm still missing half of them.
This is a great counter to Onslaught in Shocker, one of the best ones out there. He doesn't go for the punish of the SP1, and then he gets the parry, but he gets out of it. Nice.
I also want to call out, I said earlier, closing the door. That's exactly what Andy is trying to do.
Yes.
Hulkling is his best remaining defender for round 3, and he is using him on offense to try and shut out this 6-star Atuma.
You really want to
so that the fight is over.
Yeah, and you want to see Finn not get I can't think what the damage. He's got one now. Let's see if he got 2. This may end up making a big difference because of the health he's losing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh!
Wow.
That's the willpower loss.
What a close.
Yep.
Incredible close.
He picked up 3 of them, right? In that final SP2?
Yeah, the Neuros.
He had none when he started it.
Mm-hmm. And if he had still had willpower, then he might have been able to hold on to even that, but
so
that's tough.
I mean, he doesn't know. As Crash pointed out earlier in the right minutes before, they don't know what's going on the other side. So they don't know how fast they can go. There's all these calculations they're running through. When I do that matchup, I will back up because of that elongated pause, right? And I know that Shocker's going to finish it with the heavy. I'm not going to finish the heavy usually anyway. I've never been able to do the math on it, though. I can't help but wonder if Finn had backed up, gotten rid of one of them, if it would have made a difference. Finn, I'm sure, has done the math and knows exactly what he's doing. What an amazing.
All right, well, congratulations to Andrew. That was one heck of a match, and actually perfect timing because my family is arriving home, so I'm going to go make my kids lunch. Thanks very much for having me on stream. Nice to hang out with you. Yeah. Nice to chat with you, DLL. I'll see you on Monday.
Yeah. Talk to you then, man.
Thank you much for being a Crash. Say hi to the family. Hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks very much, Vega. Talk to you soon. Bye.
To answer Wally, I don't know if we're doing interviews, but just to answer the why Finn didn't use Silk, it's probably because he had to pick first, right? And if he had picked Silk and then Andy had kept Hulkling back for round 3, then beating Onslaught might not have mattered.
We've got
Forced into that a bit.
another really generous donation from, again, supporter extraordinaire, OS fans. Thank you so much, guys. I hope everyone had an absolute blast. Again, huge, massive thank you to Usafa Gaming for making sure that we could all see this commercial free. Really was amazing and phenomenal. I appreciate it much. You know what, Finn? I spent a good bill of time this. Oh, geez. Can you guys still see me? Literally everything just went away. Does anyone?
Yeah.
It
says Vega has minimized the application. Think it should come back.
Why would this? Why would you do this to me? Okay. I think that's good enough. I want to try to get, Andrew and Finn, if you can both hear me, could you guys at me on the server and I can give you the roles? I actually spent some time to try to find both of you and I could not. I wonder if they're even listening. It looks like they're both willing to do a bit of a post-match interview. So just hold tight, everybody. A phenomenal matchup from both of them. So close. And this is sometimes a game of seconds. Sometimes this is a mode of seconds. Okay, so someone is mentioning me somewhere. Can I just move them into... DL, you know what? Just join me in VBC stream. Can you do that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Thanks, guys. We had a little difficulty. I appreciate both of you taking the time to help us find you and get you on the voice call. As I typically like to do, you guys just played an intense match, put on a phenomenal show for everybody. I'd love to give you, Andrew and Finn, a moment just to let us know how you're feeling, let us know what's going on. Something is wrong. No perms to speak. That's fun. We will get them, guys. We will get them. I promise. It's just going to take a second. They are also using Discord. DL, let's jump back into Stream Room if we can. And I will try to move them there.
Okay. Good, because I also can't speak in the other room, so I couldn't help.
Yeah, I was actually surprised to see them in there. I don't know why they're muted. Do you know how to unmute them?
I think they probably need a role that can speak here, but I do not have that power.
All right. I will say I am very happy that this is the first technical difficulty we've run into in this whole stream. Finn, I think you should be fine. Let me know if you're not, buddy. And then Andrew, I will move you into there and give you the appropriate role as well. If you guys could, I think you have to unmute yourself on your side. Let me know if that works for you. Finn, can you try unmuting yourself? Because it does have you muted and you shouldn't be. He has the role now, though, so I don't know what could possibly be the problem.
Yeah, maybe both of y'all try leaving and rejoining.
Yeah, could you try leaving and rejoining? Thanks.
There we go.
Hello?
Alright, is this working?
Yeah, it is.
I think it's working now.
Yeah, there we go.
Resetting maintenance.
Just, guys, first of all, both of you, phenomenal match. As usual, incredible top tier level play from the two of you. Learned a ton. Definitely have questions for both of you, but it's also a best of 9 championship match, title on the line. I just want to let you guys both talk. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? Any of it? We'll start off with Finn.
Yeah, go ahead.
We'll start off with you, Finn.
Yeah, I'm feeling great. I mean, I know I lost it, but playing with stakes against someone like Andrew, it's always a lot of fun, but just you wait until I get those 7 stars ranked up as well. I just need to pull them. I just need them.
Your poor Atumo with his challenger ratings, just not holding on, man.
My issue was more so the defenders.
That'll do it.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had a few exciting fights in on my side as well, even though some of them were not all of that great. Did manage to full deck a bullseye special 1 there as well by accident, so that's nice.
I figured that was probably a bit of a just going for it in that fight.
Yeah, I mean, it was a throw round anyway, so might as well try it out.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was a really fun match. It's always fun going up against Fintech. Yeah, I was very surprised by the rank 3 Luke Cage in the Battlegrounds deck. I did not expect that. But yeah. It was cool to see, though. It was very cool to see.
I do have to mention, though, the one successful fight against Serpent I had with Luke Cage. That is how it went normally for me in practice. So that was what I was expecting every time, but his AI, he wasn't having it. So
yeah, I was wondering about that when you switched over to Tigra.
That was honestly just because the speed wouldn't be there against TGR regardless.
Right.
So I was trying to just nuke it with Tigra and see if it's even doable against the 7-star rank 3, which, well, not really.
A question on that is you both looked very confident. I thought in round 3, I was like, I feel like you're both still kind of feeling each other out, filling out the meta. But I think you also seemingly were both very confident in what you were doing from the get-go. How much did the fact that, like, we've had, 3 days with this meta? How much did that influence it? Like, how much more sure in matchups and more automated do you think you'll be, 3 weeks in or something like that? We start off again with Finn.
Personally, the nodes are fine. That's not really what I had an issue with this time around. Being confident, I wouldn't say so, at least for myself. The 2 new rank 3s I had, Weapon X and Luke Cage, I had never played either one of them. So I took them up yesterday. So I was all day trying to practice them. And it definitely showed on the bullseye fights with the Weapon X. I know it's doable with full health. I've seen you, Vega, do it, I believe, as well. I don't know the matchup, so I was just trying to figure it out as I went.
Yeah, you did a great job. Both of you showed, we called it out multiple times, like there was a lot of presence of mind when something probably didn't go the way you were expecting. And yeah, I mean, just that matchup can go sideways for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think the nodes, it's almost kind of nodeless. With like some really select matchups with defenders who have like their own natural regen. As long as you're not using a DOT that has energy-based damage, like there's almost no nodes that you have to worry about. It's really, really straightforward. So I don't think it requires any practice at all.
With that, I want to say something. You wouldn't know that because you went fighting 7-star rank 3 Bullseye and Serpent with the block penetration. The regen is definitely noticeable.
I couldn't tell against your Bullseye or Serpent.
Yeah, I called that out in the Photon fight in particular. It's like, I mean, she's got the debuffs to control the regen, but he's at full health.
Yeah, there was a couple of that. Finn, if you'll indulge me a minute, one of the things that, I mean, the audience was calling it out. A lot of us were just, I think Cat Murdoch said, like, is that even legal? Is, at least in a couple of rounds, you skipped over Tigra. You had the opportunity to pick her. You didn't. Can you walk us through that a little bit? Like what you were thinking or what the strategy was?
The main issue with drafting Tigra these days is that she's only a 6-star.
Yeah.
So if you're doing matchups where you need to heavy bait, you're taking the block damage and you can't avoid it. And against a player like Andrewtheruff, you can't expect them to make any mistakes like taking hits or any of that. So all of the chip damage and all of that will matter. And as we saw against the 7-star rank 3 Serpent, the damage is also, it can't really keep up anymore with the 7-star rank 3s.
Yeah, no, that makes That makes complete sense. If you
Especially for a 7-star that nerfs burst damage.
yeah.
That too.
DLL says with a smile on his face. The other matchup I wanted to ask you about was the Silk. Shoot, and I cannot remember who the defender was. We thought you were going to go with the special 2. That's not what happened, and then you were at 3 bars of power for quite a while. Was that intentional? Was that a mistake? If you could walk us through that one a little bit too. If you remember it.
So it was against Lady D.
Yes, yeah.
And the main issue with fighting her as a defender is the unstoppable during your specials. But thinking about it now, afterwards, Silk has the slow debuff, so I definitely could have thrown my special 2 there.
Yeah,
it would have been fine.
I think that's a perfect example of if this is 3 weeks from now, I think you throw the special 2. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, 3 weeks from now, I don't see anyone using Lady D, especially as a defender.
That was a last resort type of thing. I just had no defenders in my draft. I saw Lady D on the last pick, and I was like, oh, that's kind of okay.
And so that was going to be the segue question was, Andrew, what's Lady D doing there? Like, yeah.
So, I mean, you couldn't really tell this match because Fintech, he permabanned my Domino. But Domino, she's really, really hard this meta because all of her counters, or not all, most of her counters are energy based. So if like you can't run Shuri, you can't run Guardian, you can't run I'm sure there's a few other Red Skull. So Lady Deathstrike, she's in my deck as a Domino counter. But I mean, Finn banned Domino, so there was really no use for her in there.
Yeah.
Do you want to know why I banned her? Take a guess.
Rank 2 Domino versus rank 3 is pretty different.
Well, make it a 6-star.
Oh, wait, I thought you had a rank 2, no?
Nope.
Okay, never mind then.
All right. Finn, thank you so much. I mean, you were phenomenal, amazing. Obviously, you probably weren't listening when we did this. You dominated season 1 of the VBC. A lot of guys got really close to winning a tournament. Legacy obviously did. Andrew's one of the guys that got pretty close, but you won 3 out of 4 of them. And so I appreciate you coming in here as the champion, as the defending champion. Obviously I would love to get you back in this in a few months here. But you can let me know if you're interested in that over time.
Yeah, I definitely will be back if you just let me come back. Absolutely. And I do want to thank you as well for hosting these. They are very fun to play and watch back as well, which I always do. Cool. And Andrew, I am coming for that title again. I need to pull some of the 7 stars. So until then, I'll watch you destroy everyone else. How about that?
I love it. I'm hopeful for a Fintech versus Andrewtheruff 2 very, very soon. Andrew, on your side, you're the champ.
Yeah.
How you feeling, bud?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Definitely big thanks to you for hosting it. Like these tournaments are always like probably the most fun ones to participate in, especially like even just talking after. I love to yap after a match. So yeah, big shout out for hosting, and I can't wait for the next one, man.
It's been amazing, dude. I know your channel wasn't new when you first started with the VBC, but I could literally see you being able more and more to express your skills for the game while getting used to streaming. Like over the course of the tournaments, over the course of even a tournament as it was happening, you could see you just, again, being able to confidently and comfortably express your skills while also literally trying to host a stream. It's been incredibly impressive to see where you're at now. I will often tune into an Andrewtheruff stream and I don't even say hello because there's like 800 people watching, or like a small one's like 400, and it's just been really, really cool to see where you're taking it. Is there anything that you want to let people know that you're, to use your words, that you're cooking up?
Oh no, I mean, yeah, it's definitely been like a long way since the first. I think the first VBC that you asked me to participate in, I was brand new. I don't think I even like ran any streams yet. I remember my first stream was actually like doing one of your matches. So yeah, it's definitely come a long way from there, and I'm super thankful for you for like all the opportunities, man.
Oh, dude, pleasure is all mine. And Finn, I see that you have gotten back to the war videos. Is there anything that you have in particular that you want to promo or talk about that you've got going on?
As for timelines and all of that, I'm not going to make any promises. I as soon as I catch up, we can talk about it after that. But I'm a little bit behind on all of that.
I noticed. In fact, the other day, I think you either put 2 wars in one video or you did 2 wars on the same day. Either way, I was like, my man's working hard. He's catching up. I love it. Very cool. Andrew, and to everyone out there, congratulations. You're the VBC champion.
Thank you.
Your reward is actually Barrowman next month. I hope you are ready.
Oh yeah. I'm excited for that. I love playing Barrowman too. He's like, yeah, he's great.
Yeah. You all are. There's so many of you. We're gonna get this done. We're gonna have a great time. I am so incredibly grateful to so many people who put in a ton of time on this. Crash for giving his time and being willing to forthrightly answer so many questions. Of course, everyone with their donations, cannot skip or shout out enough. Yusafa Gaming for making sure this whole thing goes. And just in case you're wondering, especially with those early donations, we believe in revenue sharing around here, so we will be sharing that with Andrew and Fintech for putting on this amazing show for everybody. Huge thank you to Adam G, Osman, and Speedhawk. Thank you to DLL for coming by and hosting. Thank you to everyone in the chat. You are why this is so much fun. I think I've said everybody. If I've missed you, I apologize. Everyone on my Discord server, all the moderators, the whole Illuminati, the spreadsheet wizards. I've been looking forward to this for a month, so I'm pumped up. Thanks, everybody. I would like to let the co-host DLL and the 2 competitors sign us out. We'll go with DLL, then Fintech, then Andrew. Have a phenomenal weekend, everyone.
Yeah, I don't have much to add. Thank you, Vega, for putting this on. Thanks to y'all for putting on a great show, and thanks to everybody for coming out and watching. It was a blast.
Yeah, I think all that should be said has been said, and I had a lot of fun. It's definitely going to be watching the match against Barrow and Andrew. That's going to be a good one. Andrew, you know what to do.
Yes, sir. But yeah, thanks again, Vega. Thanks to DLL for commenting too. And yeah, GG's vid. Can't wait for the next one.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.